Are you looking to take your personal finances to the next level? Well, you're in the right place. Welcome to the Monday Money Tip Podcast, presented by I Was Broke, Now I'm Not, with your host, Joseph Sangle.
Welcome to the Monday Money Tip Podcast, presented by Fully Funded Life. My name is Joseph Sangle, and I'm fired up to help you, yes, you, live your fully funded life. What is a fully funded life? Well, that's being able to do exactly what you've been put on earth to do, regardless of its cost or its income potential. And I am fired up to bring you episode number
211.
And that is the voice of Chelsea Davis Hearn, our fully funded life coordinator, who is sitting in for Megan while Megan is out trying to figure out how to go from a family of one child to three. Help her, Jesus.
Yeah.
And so thank you so much for joining us again.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. And so today, tell everybody what we're going to talk about.
Oh, Lord. What are we going to talk about today? Today, we're visiting the series, Topics Couples Should Discuss. And we're talking about general money conversations that couples should have. And I'm here to share with us and you how I and my husband approach these conversations.
That's right. And so that's really good. And your husband's name is?
Jeremy.
And my bride's name is Jen. And so we're going to kind of talk about this stuff. It's really important conversation. Number one issue that people fight about in relationships. So I can't wait to talk about it. Now, we normally go to current money events, but we're recording some of these in advance while Megan is out and while I'm going to be out during the summer. And so today I'm going on a rant again. It's a Joe Sangle rant, and I'm going on a rant. And this rant is something that I am very passionate about, and that is about priorities. So I'm listening to our podcast audience, those of you watching on YouTube. I want to know the question, what do you know most about? Do you have a favorite show? Do you have a show you binge watch? Do you have a sports team that you follow closely? Are you part of fantasy sports? Do you know every single player and all their statistics, but at the same time, know nothing about your personal financial situation? Do you spend hours upon hours upon hours consuming content about that thing that you spend all your time on, yet you can't even bring yourself to spend 20 minutes on a budget once a month? See, this is my rant. I meet people all over this earth who are fired up about their sports team. And I like my Indianapolis Colts, even if Colts stands for count on losing this Sunday, C-O-T-S. I root for multiple baseball teams, the Chicago Cubs, the Cincinnati Reds, and the Atlanta Braves. I grew up cheering on the Cincinnati Reds. I lived near there. Then it was the Cubs because they were on during the middle of the day when I was at Purdue up there in Chicago. And then I lived near Atlanta. You can't help but root for them as well. But listen, and I know things about them. And I root for the Indiana Pacers, especially when Reggie Miller was there and Rick Smits and Dale Davis. And Dale Davis went to Clemson, and I went to Clemson as well. But here's what I know. People know everything about their favorite show, The Office. They can tell you which episode it is. They know Parks and Rec. They know about Yellowstone. They know about all these different shows. They just know it. They know every detail. They can't wait to talk about it. In fact, they will spend extra time talking about it. Yet when you ask them how much they're investing, they're like, oh, that intimidates me. I know nothing about that. And it's like, say what? Because here is my question. It's awesome that you love the show, and we all need entertainment that helps us, right? Helps us get away from it all. Mm-hmm. But one of the things it will not get you away from is your money issues. You will be done watching the show. You'll be done watching all the shows. You'll be done watching that game. Your money situation will remain the same without you intentionally focusing on it. If you don't take some of that time and allocate it to your personal finances, you will never make the progress you hope to make. Mm-hmm. You will never get to the end result that you will want to get to. Mm-hmm. And for those of you who love The Office, you have watched the episode of Michael and his money, where he is in money issues and he has a second job and his girlfriend has made him sell both cars so that she could drive like a Porsche or a Jaguar or something. Oh, no. and he finally just gets on a train. He's going to leave town. I mean, why does that happen? Because he keeps imagining what things could be, but he won't do the hard work that is necessary to help him prosper. And so I would just tell you this. Which would you rather be an expert in? Your favorite show, your favorite sports team, or an expert in you and your fully funded life and making the decisions that help you get there. Because here's the news flash. You can spend the time on you, and there will still be time for your favorite indulgence. You can still do both, but your priorities will be in order. You'll enjoy your show. You enjoy the game that much better. And what I've learned, Chelsea, you know what I've learned? When my team loses, that did not affect my bank account because I don't gamble on any of it. Some people it does. That's another news flash. That's a rant for another day. So today, I would just say, where are your priorities? Get fired up.
I love it. Make you your indulgence.
Yeah, come on.
I like that.
Prioritizing you.
Yeah.
Okay, so this podcast is powered by success of our listeners. We have a success story. Share it with everybody.
All right. Today's success story is from Elisabeth, who together with her husband had a successful first month of budgeting. Woo! She said, we set up a budget and stuck with it the entire month.
Woo!
It was very exciting. My husband and I were on the same page all month. That's a blessing in itself,
Yes.
right? I was shocked that we had money to pay savings and also eat. I really do like having a plan. It lets me say no to things because it is a part of a greater purpose. I love that.
There are so many great things here.
Yep.
There's unity.
Yes.
They're viewing saving as a bill or a debt they owe themselves, so they prioritize correctly. There's some shock because there's some preconceptions that were not true. So we have this series that we've been doing called Money Lies. So she's voiding some of the lies by facing the light of truth on it. And then she says the final statement, it lets me say no to things because it's part of a greater purpose. What is that greater purpose? Well, it's their fully funded life. They have it clarified. What else do you see?
I think that it was very exciting. You know, everyone says, oh my gosh, budget, you like, is kind of the lie. And it was exciting. I understand that. It's exciting for me to look down.
Woo,
and
it's budget time. Let's party.
Yeah. Yes. And she likes having a plan. I think everyone kind of really does.
You know what I know? It's people say, bring your own guts, right? Whatever, bring your own grit. I say bring your own energy.
Yep.
And things are as exciting as you make them to be.
Yep.
And I'll tell you right now, a budget, that's a dream funding moment. So it's time to budget. Let's go. Woo! Right? It's awesome.
Yep. And the greater purpose. I mean, we just talked about that in a previous episode, but I mean, we all have a greater purpose. It's not
love it.
right now.
Hey, this podcast is powered up with energy now. We got some success here.
Yep.
Thank you, Elisabeth. And husband, unnamed, who is a very important part of this story.
Yes.
So thanks for sharing that. Today, share them again what we're going to talk about.
So we're revisiting the series, Topics Couples Should Discuss, and we're talking about general money conversations that couples should have. And I'm here to share how me and my husband approach these conversations.
Yeah. And so I've heard you mention several times that you and Jeremy discuss money often.
Yes.
So tell us what that looks like.
Well, these days it's a quite different conversation. I have to say, when we first started our fully funded life journey, it wasn't a fun conversation. It was dreaded, some conflict involved.
Dreaded by both?
Yeah. I mean,
Who dreaded it the most?
Uncomfortable. Well, I think we both did for different reasons. I dreaded it because he wasn't on the same page as me, and he dreaded it because I wasn't on the same page as him.
Okay.
And he was the spender at one time. You know, he was a bachelor when we met in his mid-30s, so he lived his own happy life and with nothing.
Yeah.
But everything.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense. So yeah, it used to be conflict. It could turn into a pretty big discussion. But these days,
Megan calls this with her and Jordan, she calls it intense fellowship.
That's what I was trying to remember.
Yeah.
I was like, I've heard somebody call this something fantastic, so I got to write this down real quick. Anyways, yeah, we had a lot of intense fellowship about money. So
I remember growing up when my parents would fight over money, my dad would go back to the same, he would dredge up old money mistakes by my mom. Did you ever do that? Did either of you ever do that?
I mean, if you have to go for the low one, then you
Come
go
on.
for the low one.
There we go. I like it. Bring it back up. Just keep reusing it. How did that go for you? If
Not
you did
well.
that, it's not going to go well. And I forget
no
who said
unity.
this. I've shared it as a quote on one of these. It says, "Never fight about money because in the end you both feel horrible and the money problems remain the issue."
Right.
Still,
Yeah.
it doesn't fix it. So are these conversations these days? Are they planned? Or are they off the cuff, or are they a blend of that?
It's so funny. I have to also, I think this is kind of important. Before Jeremy and I got married, I told him I will not marry you with debt. So any debt you have has to be taken care of. So we spent a good 2 years we spent a year paying his parents back a substantial amount. To this day, I'm like, I don't know how he did that, but because I was like, there's a lot of.
I know how he did it. He wanted to get married.
Right. There's enough things to disagree
There's
about.
There's a prize at the end.
Right. Money is just not one of them. So that was the start of our relationship. So now it's interesting. Every day he comes into my office. I'm usually working, and he's like, "Hey, have you checked our investments today? Hey, have you?" And so we just had to have a conversation, which is so interesting because it's quite the opposite of, because he wants to invest every available penny now, like anything that's left, his extra third check of this month, our tax refund.
Because you get paid every 2 weeks.
Yeah. Where can we invest money? And so we just kind of took a leap of faith and invested some money, and it made me nervous, so I'm like, Jeremy, no more financial advice from you for the time being, because then he's like, oh, I need new tires, which thankfully we have that in our budget. But anyways, so now he's wanting to invest everything. So now I'm the one that's like, slow down.
This is interesting. So you mentioned earlier he's a spender.
Yes.
So does that make you, are you a natural saver?
Yes.
So I have found, and this is what I try to do to convince spenders, because I'm a natural born spender, is that when you invest, you get to spend money, but you're spending it into things that are going to make you more money in the future.
Yep.
That just replaced that spending consumer behavior with something that actually has the power to help me longer term.
Yep. Oh, and he is fired. It's every day. He's like, have you checked our investments today? Have you checked our investments today?
So I like this. This is awesome. So it sounds like they're kind of off the cuff. How do you guys prepare a budget?
Well, I kind of manage that mostly. We talk about like big stuff, but so we have our budget. We sometimes struggle still making it exactly zero, but it works out better when we do.
Is it on Excel on one computer, or do you have it on Google Drive so you can access it anywhere? What have you done?
I just have it on an Excel spreadsheet on my computer.
So do I. That's how I do it.
And I am a manual person too, so I have it handwritten in a journal.
Of course you do.
Because I like to erase and and I don't know. I just like it better that way. So and then he likes to see it easier that way. I can show him the spreadsheet, but it gets overwhelming at times, and I get analytical in it. So the handwritten, it's pretty easy. You can erase it, change it, whatever the case is. Yeah.
So we're talking about, the topic is money. It's topics couples should discuss, a series that we've been having. And we're talking about broad arching of money. We're talking about money. And money is a large ranging topic. So when we think about all these aspects of money, and so I'm going to kind of put some handles on this, okay? It's earning, it's budgeting, it's all the activities you can do, the verbs, giving, saving, investing, spending. When you think about planning long-term, auctioning, we're gonna make that a verb. So it's a type of investing with the hopes of return now or later. Is there one of those that is more difficult to communicate with right now than others?
No, not really. But that's part of being on the rung that we're on in Fully Funded Life. It's easier,
Yeah.
And really, I think a large benefit of being in Fully Funded Life is I feel like it brings unity to your relationship.
That's
reaching
powerful.
a common goal. So no, I can't even think about, I guess, the other day after we just invested a large sum of money and got us a little tighter than I'd like, he was like, oh, by the way, I need new tires, and they have the sale by the end of the month. And I was like,
you could have told me that
I
yesterday.
was like, we should have talked about this and invested a little less, but no fight involved, no conflict. Because we're both seeking God through our finances. So I don't feel like there's any, we really don't have conflict about money.
So I think this is really important to say that you have shared in these brief few minutes we've had in this conversation already, that there was a day where it was conflict because you were not on the same page. Today you're saying you're having to really think, what would we have conflict on? And it sounds like the conflict is stop asking me every waking moment how the investment's doing.
Right. We're not investing any more money today, Jeremy. No more.
But what I find is that the challenges as a couple, as you go up the ladder, is you will always have money issues.
Yep.
But as you get unity, the way in which you view those issues is wildly different. So when you're broke, as a joke, you're on the bottom rung or not even on the ladder yet.
Right.
And you're out here spending it up and financing it up.
Right.
there's a, you got that, so I get this.
Yes.
You have that car, so I'm going to get that car. There's a tit for tat. There's a this for that. There's this quid pro quo, nonstop, almost competition. And the end result is this terrifying, no extra money. Life happens. Here it costs more money. And now you want to do the blame game.
Yep.
As you get on the ladder, there's terrifying things like we're starting our beginning investments. Which mutual fund should I choose? Which stock should I choose? Do we do rental real estate? Oh my gosh, we cannot do that.
That's what's interesting. Like we have a competition. We have a healthy competition. So we don't have our investments together. We have them separately. And not to go on a rant, but so as the economy just announced inflation, we decided we wanted to invest some money because everything kind of tanked a little bit. And I told Jeremy I wanted to wait a few days. And he's like, no, it's not going to get any worse. Just invest it today. And it just so happened that we invested mine that day, but we had to pull his out of another account and get it, whatever. So he wasn't able to invest until the next day. I'm so irritated because he bought in at a lower rate and now his are doing better than me. And so those are the kind of like, it's not even disagreement. It's all in fun, but it's like, man, now you're doing better than me just because of one day.
So you're speaking to the aspect of timing.
Yep.
And no one is good at timing. Right? No one is perfect at timing. Even the experts, people with more degrees on the thermometer can't really time the market real well.
But I felt it, Joe. I felt it. And then he got the benefit from it. So
it's okay. I understand. It's about the feelings.
Yes.
So I think that really goes to this next question, which is what advice would you give to couples or a member of a couple who's listening right now on how to begin having, like maybe they're having intense fellowship about a lot of things, including money. What advice would you give them on how to start having good and healthy money conversations?
I think just trudging through like the deep part of it, the bad part of it. I mean, you have to go through it to get to the better part. So we couldn't have skipped that part of like being horribly in debt at the time that we were before we got married. To get here. So you have to go through it. There's no way around it. But also like when you have that common goal and that common goal is oxen and a fully funded life, it's fun. Like, I don't know how to tell you how fun it is. It's really fun. It's a great, I don't know. I think it's just really made our marriage better. And, but you have to have that common goal. So of course you can't force someone to get on the same page. And we didn't get on the same page right away. I was more financially minded and then Jeremy came along. But it's worth it. And I think sitting down and having a budget together, it's not the funnest thing ever, but that budget and that budget talk really helps the other partner feel included and also be a part of your situation.
It becomes an anchor.
Yep.
Not as a boat anchor that keeps you stuck, but it's like an anchoring point that recenters you, brings you back on track. Maybe a better word is a GPS. It makes sure that you stay on track on your map.
You don't know what you don't know. So that budget really says everything that you don't have the time to talk about during the week.
I think this is really interesting. What you've just noted is what I would encourage couples with is if you've got somebody that you're partnered with on this money thing and they won't get with the program, so to speak, like you're on board. That's why you're listening to this podcast or you're wanting to get on board. There's some reason you're listening to this or watching this podcast is I would tell you for the person who's not, the greatest thing you can do is to get them removed from children if there's children present, because children mixed with money challenges is not a good combo. When they're rested, not exhausted, ideally maybe at like a Starbucks or a coffee shop, and ask them this question. Hey, let's dream. Where do you want to be in 15 years, 20 years, 30 years? Where do you want us to be?
Yep.
What are some things you want? And ask them some leading questions. What do you want for our kids? Do we want to help pay for all their college? Do we want to travel? Where do we want to travel? Let's list it. And they're going to be confused. But
you're like, we don't have the money for this.
We don't have money for that, blah, blah. No. I want to dream. I heard something that was inspiring to me. I want to dream. Get them to write down a bunch of dreams. And then here's the killer question. The killer question is this. Hey, if we keep managing money the way we are right now, are any of these going to happen? That question is a me and you question. If we. And for me, that question stopped me in my tracks because I despised the response. And I find that if a person truly is committed to that relationship and truly wants those dreams to happen, it will jar them at least at a wake-up moment to say, we got to do something different. I don't know what the different is, but this right here isn't getting us there. And so Charles Kettering has a great quote that says, we work day after day, not to finish things, but to make the future better. Why? Because we will spend the rest of our lives there.
Oh, so true.
Isn't that good?
Yeah, it's good.
And so I just want you as podcast listeners to know we want great things for you.
Yes.
So work day after day, not to finish things. There is no finish to this money journey, but to make your future better. Why? Because you're going to spend the rest of your lives there.
Yep.
Thank you, Charles Kettering, for that great quote. Hey, and thank you, Chelsea, for kind of sharing some of your story. And I think you've inspired some couples to have some conversations.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. And thanks to Jeremy, too.
Yeah.
He's been part of this, and he wasn't even here.
Yeah.
So tell everybody what we're going to talk about in our next episode.
Next episode, we're talking about our Money Lies series. I could never do that. How a college student bought her first house. And that is Malia.
Yeah, it's an episode with my daughter. And so I'm so fired up about that. Hey, if you listen to today's episode, please help us get this podcast to other people who could benefit. You can do it by quickly rating the podcast. Leave a review if you're on YouTube. Click the thumbs up. Click subscribe. Makes those algorithms expose this to other people so that more people can begin the journey to live their fully funded life. And if you've implemented one of our tips, this podcast is powered by your success. Yep. Please share it with us. You can share it with us on any of our social media platforms, or you can email it to info@iwbnin.com. That's info@iwbnin.com. As we go out of here on this Monday morning, I do encourage you, set up that meeting without the kids present at that Starbucks and ask those questions. What do we want to accomplish? Where do we want to travel? What do we want to do for our kids? What do we want to do for our grandkids? And then ask the question, if we keep managing money the way we are right now, will any of these come true? Let that energy power you to success and your fully funded life. Have a great week, everybody.
Thanks so much for listening to this episode of the Monday Money Tip Podcast, presented by I Was Broke, Now I'm Not. If you enjoyed today's episode, please leave a review and subscribe. And for more great content and to stay up to date, visit iwbnin.com. We'll catch you next time.